Hi there, this is James Tripp. This is Hypnosis Without Trance. It's a very hot day today here in the UK. I've just shut the window so the traffic noise won't come in, but it's absolutely boiling in here. I'm south facing, so I've got the sun coming in through the windows, boiling me alive. So I shall keep this as brief as possible so I can get back out into the fresh air. Now this video is about money and hypnosis, or hypnosis and money. And there's a reason for this. It's that I know there's a lot of people who subscribe to Hypnosis Without Trance. When people get into hypnosis, one of the things that seems to be the case across the board is it's an act of irrational passion. For some reason, people just seem to want to know about hypnosis. When I ask people, what is it about hypnosis that interests you? They say, I don't know, it just fascinates me. So it seems to be that they're interested in hypnosis out of some kind of irrational passion. But you know, the truth is, it often turns out not to be the case. When you really kind of dig below the surface, you get into people's psyche a bit more, and you go beyond the places they even consciously think about themselves, you usually find that people are learning hypnosis, they're drawn to hypnosis because on some level they perceive that it is somehow going to enrich their lives. That for learning hypnosis, their lives will be better. And when I put it like that, right, that makes sense, doesn't it? Because why else would you do something? And this is why people get into all sorts of things. On some level, they feel it will make their lives better. They're not often sure exactly how, but that's the sense that they have. So people come into hypnosis, they learn it, they develop skills, and after a time they're enjoying the skills, and it's cool that they can do these things, but they start thinking, you know what, my life hasn't really significantly changed in terms of my lifestyle. Many of the same sorts of things seem to be happening to me. I seem to be bobbing along at the same kind of level of income, the same kind of level of prosperity. Nothing's really changed on that level. So they get into hypnosis because they feel it's going to enrich their lives, and it does, but it doesn't enrich, you know, financially enrich their lives necessarily. And they find themselves, they'd love to learn more, they'd love to develop more, but they're stuck in this kind of place of, well, you know, I've learned all this stuff and it hasn't transformed me in terms of my personal prosperity. And it would be a really cool thing if it could. At some point, when people have invested in their hypnosis skills, they get to this point of thinking, yeah, if I could make some money from this, if I could get some return on investment, that would be fantastic. Now, the most obvious way of doing this is to become a professional hypnotist, but it's not the only way. Let me just talk about 3 ways. I want to share 3 ways with you that your understanding of hypnosis and your study of hypnosis can enrich your life in terms of wealth and prosperity. Now the first way is, you'll remember recently I put a video up on self-hypnosis, on how the conversation that we have inside of our own head, the way we look at the world, the way we orientate ourselves to the world, is absolutely hugely impactful in terms of the experience and the results that we get. And I was talking about this element of self-hypnosis, how we are communicating with ourselves. This is fundamental. If you want to prosper in life, if you want to have abundance of financial wealth or money to have the cool things you want to have in life, let's not get crazy out there and start thinking in terms of yachts and stuff. If you want to have that, the most important thing to realize is that money, wealth, prosperity is a mental game. It's a mind game. People who are good at creating wealth have a way of understanding wealth. People who are good at creating prosperity have a way of understanding prosperity and relating to money. They are managing their own self-hypnosis around it, so to speak, in useful ways. I remember many years ago somebody telling me, you know, if you live in the average kind of first world town, your town will have a richer economy than the economy of some entire third world countries. So money is flowing past you all the time. The trick is to know how to just send that siphon pipe out there and just siphon some of it off, how to engage with that financial activity in a way where you provide value and in return prosperity flows in your direction. Now at the time I heard this, I couldn't make sense of it. I thought, well, yeah, I get that there's money around, but how do I get it? How do I get it? And I just had this block because I didn't understand money and I didn't understand prosperity. Another big shift for me there on my inner game, understanding the mental game of money, was A few years ago, when Hypnosis Without Trance first started to do well, I remember I turned around and said to a friend of mine who's a smart guy and has made a lot of money in his time, I said, oh, this is cool, you know, I'd love to, it'd be wonderful if I could make a ton of money from this. And he said to me, well, that's not going to happen. And I said, well, what do you mean it's not going to happen? It's looking good. People are enjoying the blog and they're starting to buy some things. What do you mean it's not going to happen? He said, well, you've got no financial intelligence. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you've got no financial intelligence. You have no understanding of money, how it really works, what it's really about, and how to orientate yourself in relation to it. And for that reason, you will never make very much of it. And that struck me. It was a massive, impact that had on me. And I made it my business to start developing my financial intelligence. So wealth creation, creating prosperity, is a mental game. And your understanding of hypnosis and how thoughts and how concepts and how ideas and how attention patterns shape your reality and your experience, that's a massive thing. When you can bring that to bear upon yourself and start hypnotizing yourself in smart ways, I'm not going to go into the content of this now, you will massively increase your ability to connect with the wealth that flows in the society that's around you, in the community that's around you, and to start engaging with that wealth and in ways that enable some of it to start flowing in your direction. So there's the first way. The second way that hypnosis can help you in terms of wealth and prosperity is if you have a profession that is ostensibly not about hypnosis. Now, here's the thing. I posted a video a little while back explaining how hypnosis is a doorway to a richer understanding, a deeper understanding of your mind and the human mind. Hypnosis, when you take it outside of the box and you look at the skills, the communication skills, the way of directing attention and seeding ideas, that Hypnosis Without Trance definition of hypnosis, when you bring that to bear in your conversation with the world and the people around you, you up your influence significantly. Now, whatever profession you're in, it pays to be more influential. Literally, I'm not meaning that metaphorically. It pays to be more influential. It pays to be able to get clear about what it is that you want and get busy nudging things in that direction. Now, when you take this side of it, this conversation you're having with the world, with the people around you, the community around you, and you combine it with the first point about hypnosis being a mental game, the conversation you're having inside of your head, you have these two conversations. The conversation inside of your head, the conversation with the world around you. You bring them together, this massively increases your impact and your ability to create wealth and prosperity. So these are the first two elements. And recently I had a family gathering recently, and I was hearing about a cousin on my wife's side of the family who's doing really, really well at the moment. She's gone into real estate, into the estate agent game, and she's taken to it like a duck to water. And she has a mindset towards it of understanding what's happening on, understanding the dynamics, understanding what's going on with the dynamics, and looking at how she can bring all of her skills and attributes, communication skills, to bear on being really exquisite in the area of negotiation and deal making. And she's getting good, and she's getting good fast. Now, she doesn't think in terms of hypnosis, but she's moving ahead. She's very young. She's already head and shoulders above the other people in the company, and they're looking at training her up for management positions and things. She's only just got in there. But she's advancing her own career by thinking proactively and looking at how she can apply her skills and develop her skills around communication and influence and understanding the game she's playing at a deep level. Now, to me, I look at this outside from a hypnotist perspective, and I see that she's just doing smart things. She's getting to understand the inner game of it, getting to understand the outer game of it, and looking at how she can develop her skills, communication skills, her ability to direct attention and seed ideas in ways that enhance her deal-making capabilities. So there's an example of that outer game, that conversation you're having with the world, your ability to use language and communication to direct attention and seed ideas, to influence people to bring them to places of understanding, to connect them to value in things. This way you can advance your career, whether it's directly in sales or whether it's just within an organization, and how you connect with and how you relate to the people around you. If you do this with the intent to shift your position in terms of wealth and prosperity, you can get some really cool things happening. So those are the two primary areas where I believe that hypnosis and understanding hypnosis, particularly when you apply it in this context, which is a specialism in and of itself, can be very powerful. The third area where people look, and it's almost the most obvious area, and in a way this is why people often fail at it, the third area to look at is becoming a professional hypnotist. Setting yourself up overtly as a hypnotist, maybe a clinical hypnotist, a hypnotherapist, maybe not quite using that term, maybe you're saying you're billing yourself as a change worker or coach or something, but you want to provide a service overtly with your hypnosis skills around either creating change for people, or you could be doing it on the entertainment side, doing stage hypnosis and that kind of thing. And some people do both. But the point being is you are overtly using your hypnosis skills to provide a service that you want to get paid for professionally. So becoming a professional hypnotist. Now this is, as I say, the most obvious route to take. But I heard recently that 99.5%, this is some research some hypnotherapy school or some coaching school did, I can't remember, of people that train in NLP and hypnotherapy fail to make a living from it after 2 years. So they got into it, they had a crack at it, and they just didn't get it happening. They didn't make it work, and they end up going back to some other career. And these are pretty disappointing statistics, and I've met lots of people who are having a crack at it and are just totally failing to get it together. And I also meet that small number of people who really make it rock. They really take their services to the world and they get rewarded handsomely, professionally, for the services they render through their work in hypnosis, change work, or even entertainment-based hypnosis. But they are in a minority. So what's the difference? What's the difference between those who make it and those who don't? Well, the difference is actually in the first two categories we cover. It's the people that get that it's a bigger game, that it's not just about being a good hypnotist and being able to sit down with a client and help them change, or being a good stage hypnotist and being able to entertain them. It's seeing the bigger game. It's understanding the business of hypnosis, and more, a bigger game than that still, the game of prosperity, of creating prosperity, of wealth creation. Wealth creation is a mind game. We're back to the first point again. It's the inner game. Most people I know who are attempting to render a service through hypnosis, they've got a lousy relationship with money and prosperity. They don't have the appropriate internal loops, understandings of reality, to enable them to really go out there and connect with the community around them in ways where they can serve them and have wealth and prosperity flow back reciprocally towards them. They get inside, and they get in their own way through their own negative hypnotic loops and poor understandings and relationships with money. That then in turn is reflected in their communications. The conversation they're having inside of their own heads, outside of consciousness, ends up sullying the conversation they want to have with the world around them. And as such, they never connect their service in an appropriate way with the people who can benefit from it, who will be more than happy to exchange some of their money for the value that you have to offer. This is where people fall down. They focus on too small a game. They think, if I'm a good enough hypnotist and change worker, or if I'm a good enough entertainer, I'll make the money. Not so. I'm just going to share a very quick story to close up. I was talking to a friend of mine very recently, just a few days ago, and he's somebody I've known for years. He's somebody I used to play in bands with. I played in a number of bands with this guy, and he is a phenomenally creative guy, really smart guy, really creative guy. And many years ago, he decided he was going to train as a plasterer. because his brother's a plasterer and his dad's a plasterer. So he trained as a plasterer and got into the plastering game. Now, here in the UK, and if it's the same throughout the world, I'm sure it is, plasterers can make good money. Plastering is a profession. You can get paid good professional fees for doing plastering and excellent plastering. Many people make a very good living indeed from plastering, but my friend didn't do so. He had a lot of difficulty as a freelance plasterer, and in the end he gave up being a freelance plasterer and got work for the local council, and has been working for them for many years for essentially a pittance, a fraction of what he could get working freelance. But the reason he did this was because inside of himself, his own hypnotic loops around money and wealth and value and all of these things were getting in the way of him playing the bigger game of plastering. He is an excellent plasterer. There's no question about it. He's quick, he's clean, he does a great job. Technically, on the level of service, he should be able to make a lot of money. Yet when he's freelance, he doesn't. He doesn't do it because he's never focused on the bigger game. And the bigger game is not just plastering, it's the business of plastering. And the business of plastering sits within a bigger game still, which is the business of wealth creation. This is exactly the same problem most hypnotists have. They focus on the small game, the hypnosis, the change work. They need to shift and focus on the bigger game. The bigger game is the business of hypnosis. And the game that's bigger than that is the business of wealth creation. There's games within games within games. If you go too small picture, that's when you're going to fall down. And this is the mistake most people make, because that's where they zone into. It makes sense. If I'm a good hypnotist, I should be able to make money from it. Not necessarily so until you step up to being a good hypnotist on other levels, managing your own self-hypnosis, your own orientation towards money and wealth, the conversation you're having inside of your own head, which in turn changes the conversation you're having in the world and with the world. And when you change the way you show up inside of your head and you change the way you show up in the world, then you're able to start connecting to the wealth and prosperity that is in fact in abundance around you. Okay, it's a very quick video, well, perhaps not such a quick video in the end, and I know that that's just sitting around the rim of a very deep rabbit hole. It may be something that we talk more about. I'd love to be able to serve some of the people on this blog or through this blog in this area, because I think it's huge. I think it's key. I know you guys are all out there, you're learning this stuff, you're developing these skills. I would love to see you be able to make this an integral part of your professional life. Because when you can do that, you get to generate prosperity in your life through doing something that you love, through something that drives you from the inside out, that you're passionate about, that is really cool. You're not having to work out there, grind, do the whole rat race thing, struggle to make a living. Listen to that piece of hypnosis. Earn a living. Well, if you get a good job, you'll earn a living. That is an awful, disgusting piece of cultural hypnosis. Why should you have to earn a living, earn a life? You have a life. You have a life right now. Wealth creators, prosperity creators understand that. They have a life right now and they're going to use it to create wealth and prosperity. But most people don't think like that. They think they have to earn the life in the first place. That's just one example. I've gone off track here, but that's just one example of a small piece of cultural hypnosis that keeps people from being prosperous in their life. And there are so many more examples that I could share with you. Okay, so if this is the conversation that's worth having a little bit more deeply, let's have it a bit more deeply. Let me know if this is something that you think could be of service to you. This conversation around prosperity and hypnosis. Take care, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.